We got a couple of run games to talk about here. Nate, Tice, give us the first team that you're nerding out about right now.
Oh boy, I'm going to start with the team that's first in early down running back success rate, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, baby. The Minnesota Vikings with Jordan Mason, the sexiest running back in the NFL, as they call him. But this is, yes, they got a
Many
little
people
bit
are
of
saying.
the big cat Bengals bump. You know, a lot of big cat defenses aren't the best right now. Jaguars are looking okay actually, but
Yeah.
it's this run game right now is exactly kind of what I envisioned. Having Christian Darrisaw came back, their left tackle, which was a boom. It really helped. It really helped out Donovan Jackson, who unfortunately now is an injury is out for a few weeks. But Donovan Jackson was looking excellent. Ryan Kelly has faced some injuries as well, but this is kind of what I was envisioning with this team. Envisioning a little bit better play from JJ McCarthy, but even with Carson Wentz in there, who played I would say average, it still looked so much better. Yes, going against the Bengals defense, which is just going to be a target for anybody. I think starting fantasy from this point forward, them and the Cowboys defense, just start.
Yeah.
But it really just, this was exactly what I thought this team needed. I thought this is why they went out and added these offensive linemen that even now are injured. They still have, it's not what they were going back to like last year. No, now Justin School is not playing at left tackle right now at the beginning of this year. Cam Robinson's not at left tackle like the end of last year. They actually have some horses now. So I do think that this team is turning a corner as far as like what this version of their offense is. And I think this is going to be the steadiest part because I know what Carson Wentz is. He's going to have some highs. He's going to have some big throws. He's also going to take some sacks. He's going to have some lows. But I do think that the steady beat of this offense will be the run game, especially now with Jordan Mason, who is exactly that. He is Mr. kind of steady beat at running back. I believe our friend Danny Kelly from The Ringer called him like a Toyota truck. Just like, you know what you're getting. You just kind of know what you're getting with it. It's not sexy, but you know what you're getting. And so even with Aaron Jones before he comes back, I'm really digging what's going on in this run game because it's kind of exactly what I pictured.
Well, as a proud owner of a Toyota truck, I will push back on it not being sexy. Okay. I feel pretty damn sexy to drive. I personally feel pretty damn sexy.
What kind of truck does Brian Dable drive? I got to check that one out actually right now.
His is way lifted. Okay. Let's just.
Oh, it's a Ford. Oh yeah. It's the one with the big Ford. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah. Way lifted is right.
Let's just leave it at that. I don't need. Okay, that's enough. Anyways,
you don't need a lift. You don't need a step stool over there.
No. My wife. That's another topic of conversation. Sure. She's better. Constantly launching herself into the truck. But anyways, on the Vikings run game specifically, I think that it looks a lot like how I was hoping it was going to. And, when we weren't like yapping about Tucker Kraft on this podcast in the off season, it felt like we were yapping about Jordan Mason, yep. Nate, you probably chipped in a little bit. I know I certainly talked about him. Justin Boone was very excited. We were all very excited about Jordan Mason's potential opportunity, and the opportunity for him to take over as the guy came earlier than I expected. Unfortunately, it was because of injury to Aaron Jones, but Jones has, he's an older back. That does happen. And now I feel like you're seeing that full realization of what this run game could be. And it was tough in the first couple weeks with JJ McCarthy. I want to come back to him and the Carson Wentz of it all. But again, with Wentz in week 3, it just felt like the train was a little bit more on the tracks. Like, not like Carson Wentz was doing anything. Oh my God, they've got another Sam Darnold on their hands or anything like that. But it's just the train's on the track. It feels a little bit more buttoned up, and because of that, I think you could see a better expression of the run game. Obviously, they're in a super positive game script, but I do think the offensive line kind of doing some more varied things in the run game was what they were hoping for. I think you saw that in week 3, and it makes me really excited about Jordan Mason as a guy that, frankly, as long as Aaron Jones is not out there, which he's going to be a few more weeks, like he went on IR, he's an every week fantasy starter to me, no question about it.
I look at their early down run rates, and I think that's the thing about Kevin O'Connell. We just talked about self-awareness or self-scouting of your personnel. I'm talking about maybe in a bad way with the Falcons right now, kind of thinking what they have here. I also think they kind of knew what they had with McCarthy, and they knew he needed reps. He didn't have a lot of reps coming out of college. They knew he's going to take time and everything. But and you could tell right away it was very, it was on the rails. And that was where my Vikings kind of like preseason prediction was like, if you just keep on the rails, this should be fine. And now it's like they're asking Carson Wentz to be the guy to keep it on the rails, which I think is just a oxymoron, like to the max, that I'm very, very excited to see play out for the next couple of weeks. And I guess we get to see it in Dublin this weekend. But I just look, they're early down, and this is not tied into win probability or anything, just early downs, design run rate. So 2 of the 3 highest early down run rates for the Vikings since Kevin O'Connell took over as head coach is week 1 against the Bears. That was number 3. And then last week against the Bengals in week 2. So they were 56.8% run rate on first and second down against the Bears, 60% early down run rate. Yes, they control most of the game, yada, yada, yada. But still, they've only topped 50% like a dozen times since he's taken over as a coach. And now they've had 2 of the top 3, one, including one at 60%. Like, that's the thing, is like the usage. That's what you want. You want a bell cow back. Right now, to me, that's what Jordan Mason is as far as in fantasy terms. And I do think it's going to be productive. It's going to be like the high end parts of this offense, I think, are going to be taken away. Like, I don't think Wentz is going to have some of the privileges that Darnold has, which sounds so funny, but I don't think he is. You want as little on Wentz's plate as possible. That's why RPOs are his best thing. So I do think that it's going to be very kind of point and shoot for him passing game wise, which will lead maybe not the ball getting spread out as much, which is curious about Addison. But I do think that the run game is going to be just that. I keep using the term consistent beat, the steady beat of this offense. Like, it is like this. They know what they are. I'm really convinced of that, especially upon rewatch.
Yeah, it's very different than the team we talked about yesterday on 301, the Raiders, how I think they expect it to be like a consistent singles and doubles run game, but they're like, not even getting singles. They're not even getting on base. And so then they got to try to hit home runs every pass play, but that's really all they could do because they don't have they only have Jacoby Myers as a consistent singles and doubles. Mm-hmm. Like, that feels like a mess. This, I think, actually could be real.
I'm a little more optimistic about it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only because this is a quarterback. Yeah, right. I know. 6 teams in 6 years, as our buddy Bill Barnwell put out there last week. Like, it's crazy. But honestly, the last time he had any success recently was that one Week 18 start with the Rams, and this is obviously that was in 2023. This is obviously similar offensive language. That's why he's able to come in August and like kind of hop right into the chair and keep it going here. And yeah, I am really curious about your point about how spread out this thing can be, because they do theoretically have a lot of mouths to feed. They've got T.J. Hawkinson, they've got Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen is still on the roster. God, that trade is aging pretty well for the Carolina Panthers, even if they need some wide receiver help. Like, it's getting a 4th-round pick or whatever for whatever Thielen's given the Vikings sounds pretty good. But honestly, like, if I was them, I'd be like, yeah, just throw this thing to Justin Jefferson as much as possible on these RPOs, which, like we were talking about yesterday with Ray Garvin, with Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart, typically when you're running those RPOs, the first read is getting the ball over and over and over and over again. And that would not be too bad if it's number 18 in Minnesota and it being the guy that gets those.
And I think that's how it's going to go. Like, I think that's, again, Kevin O'Connell is very good at this. He is. He's earned a lot of my respect. I know he gets a lot of accolades, and that could be exhausting for some people. They're kind of like, okay, enough. I will say that some people are going like, well, that's why Daniel Jones is succeeding, because he spent 9 months with Kevin O'Connell. It's like, okay, everyone chill out with this stuff. It's like, I get there's some schooling here, but come on. Otherwise, McCarthy would have came out of the gate flying, like if this was really totally true. So I know, but I do think he's earned a lot of respect, and it's justified because of knowing what works. And I do think that, okay, if Jefferson is going to get so many targets, it's not going to be throw more and now throw to Hawkinson and Addison. I hate to say it's going to be, we're going to cover 2 a bunch, run it. We're going to cover 2 a bunch, run it. And then let our funky defense go to work. And again, like, I don't think you have to twist his arm to do this. Like, I think this is what he's always been trying to get to. But again, he knows the formula. If you look at Sam Darnold last year, they had so much faith in him of like, oh, we just took a sack or we had a negative play. I'm pinning the grenade, deep ball. Like, they were just chucking it. And I think they'll kind of do like a Diet Coke tempered down version of that, where they're willing to kind of push the ball with Wentz in a very like on the rails version. I envision a lot of like over post combos, nothing exotic, nothing crazy, but it's just enough to create space in this offense. But that's what the boon that Jefferson provides for an offense is defenses have to respect him on every single down. And that draws, the Vikings have found ways to, Now it was auxiliary targets. Now this year it's the run game. And I think, Mason's going to be the beneficiary this year as opposed to Addison and Hawkinson.
This week
look at that pull
matchup with I know this week 4 matchup against the Steelers against that defense. It's kind of on my radar. That will be definitely a fun one to watch here. This poll we have from the YouTube chat. If you're watching along with us, you can participate in the chat. Who would you rather have rest of season for fantasy, Jordan Mason or Ashton Jeanty? Jordan Mason runs away with the poll at 62%. I'll weigh in here and say for the next 3-4 weeks. Definitely, I'm going to be ranking Jordan Mason higher than Ashton Jeanty. Sorry about it if you took Ashton Jeanty in the first round, but the reality is, we've got a bell cow back on a well-designed offense with a good offensive line, even if there are some injuries right now, a good offensive line. And then the other one is a bell cow back on a bad team with a bad offense, with maybe the worst offensive line in the league. Sorry, doesn't matter who the name on the back of the jersey is, brass tacks, that is what it is. Over the course of the season, because Aaron Jones is going to be back, theoretically, but he is going to be back maybe in 4 weeks or so. I think I'd still maybe give the edge to Jeanty, but the next 3-4 weeks or so, you're ranking Jordan Mason higher, and I don't even really think I'm going to give that a second thought, as crazy as that is. Life comes at you fast here in the NFL.
You have a famous line of just draft from good offenses. Just and I know the Vikings.
Good players from good teams.
That's it. And I know the Vikings aren't perfect right now, but still the ecosystem is still that leads itself to good stuff, as opposed to the Raiders, who are trying to find their way right now and trying to figure out exactly what everything is, because it's weird right now.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Very diplomatic.
I know.
One ecosystem that I think I'm kind of mixed on, because their best player, speaking of good players on good teams, is going to miss a large chunk of time here. That is the Dallas Cowboys. But you have been excited about what you've seen from the run game, Nate.
Yeah, I have. This is the one of my more disappointing fantasy things, and we joked about it recently, but where I ended up getting no shares, 0 shares of Javonte Williams, a couple of Jadon Blue in some dynasty leagues, but nothing in this backfield, even though they brought in Clayton Adams from Arizona, who is now shown in 2 places to be one of the best run game designers in the NFL. He should be getting as much praise as Hank Fraley from the Lions. Maybe that's just my world where I'm touting offensive line coaches and run game coordinators, but he is just doing a great job with this run game. I mentioned that the Vikings were first in early down success rate for running back runs. Cowboys are in second, and that is there's proof in the pudding. It doesn't even matter with the injuries that they've had. They lost Cooper Beebe. Now they've lost Tyler Booker, their first round pick, who is playing well and a perfect fit in this offense. But man, Tyler Guyton is looking way more consistent. It's crazy what good coaching can do and really just get a really talented guy going in the right direction. Tyler Smith is one of the best guards in the game. And Terrence Steele looks much better than he has recently. He's battled injuries and everything, but he looks so much better. But they know what they are. They run a very varied run game. A former, I believe, Nerding Out member, Hunter Lepke. I believe we talked about him before on this segment.
Last year.
He is a weapon in this offense because of blocking and how well he can move and how many things he can do in the backfield. But man, George Pickens has had some great blocks as well. Using him, he's always been overrated as a blocker because he's always his biggest blocks were on the backside and stuff. But actually, this is the most committed he's ever looked to doing it. Actually committed. And so I even though they've had these injuries, great point. And he's not. But now he's the number one again.
Contract,
who knows? So maybe he's hey, and this is my time. I'm getting 15 targets. But this run game is real. And it's one of those where I wish they actually had more juice in the backfield. Javonte is doing a fine job, but that's what he is. He's fine. But I really do wish they injected this with somebody else because there's some really good scheming going on, really good use of personnel. And once their line gets healthy, hopefully in about a month, man, this could take another leap. Because they got a lot of talent going on right now.
I love how even as you're here saying that you're complimenting the run game, all that stuff, and you're still taking a shot at Javonte Williams. You're still saying you wish that you still wish that there was someone else here. That's great. Yeah, but I'm with you that it has been a good run game. I mean, shoot, the funny part about this is we talked about this a lot with the Broncos last year, that we just wanted someone else in that ecosystem, right? We just get a different back in there, anybody but Javonte Williams. And this run game is going to be so much better. On their just running back runs so far this year, the Cowboys are second in success rate. Overall, you had second early down success rate. They're second overall. The Denver Broncos are 19th. And if you look at first and second down, I can do that here real quick. But I mean, yeah, they're 19th overall. Early down success rate, they're a little bit better. They're 15th. So okay. They didn't get any worse, or they didn't get any better by like.
No, that's exactly where they were last year.
Making a JK Dobbins. maybe RJ Harvey. I know the RJ Harvey bros in fantasy are dying for this to end up being RJ Harvey's job at some point. And I mean, I think it's got to be at some point, but that's kind of a separate conversation. It's just funny that it was just get anybody other than Javonte in Denver, and we're going to take off in this run game. And then instead we've got Javonte in Dallas with your boy Clayton Adams, and he's been one of the absolute best picks you could have made this year. One of the best picks, and none of us dumbasses in fantasy even wanted to give it a second thought.
Advice. Listen to my own advice. It's just like
crazy.
I can't believe it. It's just because what you said, it was like I have a problem with this sometimes, whereas I look at what I think the talent level is as opposed to what the situation is and what it could be. So it's like I miss some of these flash ones where it's like this guy's just taking advantage of it. They're second in yards before contact per rush right now on running back runs, 2 yards right now. The only ones in front of them are the Lions, who I think we know have a good run game and everything. And the Ravens are in third. So it's just like that's how it looks, and it's just so well designed. This is why I really liked the Cardinals of the last couple of years, was how well designed their run game was and what they were doing. So it's kind of cool to see it kind of translate here. He's offensive coordinator technically, but Schottenheimer's calling plays. Yes. Everything that was just given. Yeah. It's all about titles with coaches. It's same role, but title bump to coordinator. That means pay bump, especially in Dallas. So I'm very curious. I wish they were fully healthy, especially up front, because that could be CeeDee Lamb, of course, we haven't talked about him, but him being out as well. But I guess going against a Packers defense, like that could have been a really, really fun hoss fight going on. They're kind of going through one of these years, but there's some good stuff going on in this offense. I got to give Adams and Schottenheimer some credit, and Dak Prescott, who is just playing uber confident right now. Might be a buzzsaw this weekend, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, running into that Packers defense, obviously Micah Parsons coming back here, that's going to be tough. But what is your level of concern? You mentioned the situation. Obviously, I think that's the biggest thing I think Javonte's playing well, but the situation is awesome. It's still, though, I typically don't love to draft these and be exposed to in fantasy these type of running backs with bad defenses, right? Because of the game scripts, even though Javonte has been active in the pass game for sure, on an offense that might be mid. And I am a little bit nervous about what this looks like without CeeDee Lamb from an entire offensive perspective, because he's one of those guys. He's one of the best receivers in football. You take one of those guys out of the mix here, especially somebody who's so alignment versatile, deployment versatile. And I mentioned this yesterday with Ray, but they're not using George Pickens in any sort of varied way. He's like truly, purely just the X receiver. He's like Romeo Doubs. He's like Keon Coleman. He's like Kayshon Boutte, just X on the line, outside, see you later. Maybe they move him around more now that Lamb is gone, but I think I got to see that to believe it, because he's mostly just a pure X. He's not a zone beater. He's not a consistent guy in terms of finding those windows. So are you nervous at all that this could be, we've already seen the best of this Lamb will be back, but for the next month or so, we're going to look at kind of a slog period here for Dallas, and that might impact this run game's efficiency a little bit.
I do. I think it'll be more averagey kind of an offense. I don't think it'll totally crater, but I do think that where the targets are going to get spread is interesting, because Pickens would get a lot of respect in cover 2 when he was with the Steelers, even though that pass game couldn't do anything. Because just like that discussion with Jefferson, they were like, all right, let's run cover 2. Basically double covering him if he's just going to be the X. All right, now who's going to beat us? Who you got? Like who's going to be a Skoranek? That's basically what teams would do. And now what's so beautiful, I thought, with this pairing with Lamb and Pickens was, well, you can't play cover 2 because that means Lamb is going to eat against a linebacker or a slot.
Right.
Like, that's just, he can do that all day. We got to see that in week 1. Did the yards just honestly change?
Did that number just go down?
Yeah, it did. As we were talking about it, Pickens' fantasy projection went down a yard.
They're hearing on conference the projections where the projections lords are. I don't know where they are. I don't know who it is. They are hearing our conversation right now. They're like, let's dock it by a yard. That's great.
Hilarious.
Never seen that before.
I haven't either. That was really funny. So I do think it is going to be more sluggy. I was trying to look up their schedule as well, but because it is, because honestly, CD is what makes this offense go. That is Dak. That they have so many plays that are targeted to CD. Pickens does not. It's not a 1-for-1 match. Pickens and CD are so different in a lot of ways. Like, as you know, I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's like CD, working those inside routes, those double moves. They call them Haas juke concepts, where he's working over the middle against the linebacker. Pickens isn't. He's more linear, and just as an athlete, that he's not as fluid moving in and out, and that's why I liked the Pickens and Dak combo, was because of just that route tree match what Dak liked. But that's the thing, is like, I think teams are going to go, all right, cover 2, dare you to run over and over, because we're just not going to get beat by that. So that can be interesting, especially when the offensive line isn't as burly right now as well. So I wanted to nerd out about him because I got to give him props, but it's like, might be a second half year resurgence for them, or maybe once everybody gets healthy. It seems like early November once everybody gets healthy.
Yeah, this feels like a good time to talk about the stock, because it might be the sell high moment for the stock. So
yeah,
that's sort of where,
because they go Packers, Jets, Panthers, Commanders. Okay, but man, once they come back, they go Cardinals, Raiders, Eagles. Eagles are hurting right now. You can run on the Eagles right now. Okay, I don't know. That's interesting. You could thread this needle. There's kind of like a perfect time. Yeah, there's like a perfect time to sell and buy here. Like, you might be able to maybe buy back in a couple of weeks or something like that. I don't know. Just got to time this one up. Yeah. But no, I do think it's going to be more of an average unit maybe the next month. But I do think the highs of this offense are even. You were pretty bullish on it, actually, but a little bit higher than maybe even I was expecting. Good bones. I always use that term, but there's good structure right here with this offense.